Hello everyone and welcome back to Eve Market, your weekly look at the amarr market. Patch day next week. Changes on the Oracle, on the mining excavator drones. Need now a skill for using tech tool mining drones. There's a lot more other changes. A new design for the cormorant and the flycatcher and chimera. A lot of changes. Also, there are going to be some changes on this side, so not on either side. On my side, this is probably going to be the last video of the amarr market in 1080. I'm expecting today or tomorrow my new screen in a 4K screen, so we're gonna get even better quality videos. Then I ordered a screen yesterday. It's not in yet. Didn't have a mail yet. It's in yet. Did got my other thing in already. It's gonna be for live streaming. It's basically an PS4 Pro with Horizon Zero Dawn. So that's gonna be live streaming soon. I got my 4K screen in. But we are here for the market, of course. We're gonna look at see what market is doing. We're gonna start off as usual with minerals, if my spreadsheet stays on top. And not quickly hiding the titanium. Alright, titanium, we're making another drop on titanium. We're dropping below the 4 ISK per unit on average per day. Sales amount has slowed down a little bit. You can clearly see here the whole week we have another drop on titanium. I've no idea about the cheetah market. You should watch the lone wolf video for that. But here we're making clearly another drop. It's even saying 3 ISK because it's in the 3 range. But we are really low on price for titanium and we can just keep on dropping. Probably gonna expect record prices here. That's a jump away indeed. In the system there's quite a lot of titanium coming towards the market here. 827 million. We're sitting 4.12 currently for the sellers. For the sellers still sitting at the 4 ISK range. It is not that high, even prices lower. There's a lot of them even lower on prices here, even below 4. We're hitting not lower than 4 in the region at least. On the buys we're hitting 399. That's at least a new bottom record price. 4 ISK and 1 ISK cents was the record. But we went definitely lower. We may gonna see now soon a hold in the drop of titanium, because we are gonna get the changes on that Oracle. So it's really interesting, probably next week and the weeks after that to see what this one effect gonna have on the market. And ferrite, ferrite and all that stays quite stable. It even went early in the week slightly up, but we're all making a drop again for the last 4 days on price. Already going down. At least let's see, that's 5-day average going down a bit. 20 days still rolling a little bit up. This is gonna be really interesting what's gonna do next week. If it's gonna go up or down. I don't think it's gonna do too much on that side. 6.35 currently for the sellers. There's one coming next door. It's for off the 6 ISK. But that's only set in station range. Only in the station. This one is reachable here. 5.79 currently for ferrite. That's basically, it doesn't matter which one I pick, if it's going to be the one next door or here. They both are a new record bottom price. Price at 5.81 was the record bottom price. Now at 5.79. So a new record bottom price on the buy side for ferrite. So it's breaking 2 records in a row. Go on Maxlon, well that one is definitely not gonna break records. Well, it's maybe gonna break some records on prices. Quite jumping around this whole week, ups and downs. But for the last 2 days we are really shooting up in price to 77 ISK here. Yesterday on average price on the first day. We are slightly lower here to 75 today. Quite early. This can go still up or down. But really, Maxlon is shooting up in price again. Looks like we really have again a shortage for Maxlon. It's already so unstable for a long time. Looks a little bit on the longer graph. Came down from quite low about a year ago. It went straight up high towards the 70. It stayed there pretty long with the ups and downs. Then coming back down in around September and October. It came down quite low again on the price we hit here, 58 even. Slowly went back up, and then around between December and January we had another huge drop on price, 51 on that price. After that we went straight away back up again. It was a quite high price. And now again we're making a shot up, 77 and 75 on average prices. Currently on the market, not too much, there's not a lot of orders, there's all fresh orders pretty much coming in here. Most of them are less than half a day old even, so except for this one at the bottom, and that one, this one next door is also a little bit older, but the rest, all the orders coming here in amarr are less than half a day old. So basically there's no supply here on the market for this. 84.73 you pay for it here in the station. And on the buyer side next door you're sitting at 70.45. That's even a 2 jump range with that. So that's currently the price that you're gonna sell here, 70.45. We're not breaking records with this yet. No, we're not, but these went up in price. I would expect we did break records, but we're not. Then hydrogen. Hydrogen not doing too much this week, making a small drop on the price. 47 was the highest, we're seeing now low is 46, yeah. So make only a small drop. Maybe just seeing another drop here on price. And then later on we are maybe going back up again. But we have already such a long time drop seen on this. We are quite low on this price. We're gonna break records yet? No, doesn't look like it. We were pretty close here. The lowest price today is sitting, by the way, around 35. Highest price quite high. But yeah, we are still making a drop here also on the price on nitrogen. 49.75 for the sellers and 43.78 for the buyers. But that went quite down on price from Maxlon, so Maxlon has dropped quite a lot in price. Then Noxium. Noxium is quite stable, seeing a little bit difference buyer seller's price. That's about the only thing you see here, the difference between. Yeah, there's not too much movement in here for this whole week. We've seen that looks like the seller's price or buyer's price went slightly up. Seller's price looked to be slightly going down on this. So you see a little bit less margin between those two. Between 14.88 for the sellers and 295 basically for the buyers. It's like 10-ish up on price. Not really too much movement in there. We're gonna maybe see some more interesting stuff, especially next week with the Oracle changes. They should have a less yield on it. We already seen now an increase of the price of cyanide for the last 5 days. Yeah, for the last 5 days. The last weekend was still quite low on price, around 1,000 per unit. We can clearly see now we went a little bit up above the 1100 on average. It only dropped a little bit yesterday towards the 1100. Today we're already sitting even a little bit lower, so maybe just a short jump up or that, and then we may gonna go down again or up. One or two. 1107 for the sellers and 1011 for the buyers. It's definitely starting to go up in the buyer's side. Magasite Not too much. We're seeing a small increase in the beginning of the week on price, jumping up to 1639, 1622 on the price. That lasts like for 2 days we're sitting on that, then we start dropping back again at 1492, 1543. Yeah, between 1450 and 1550. We're basically sitting the rest of the week on the price, so it's a little bit of an uptrend on that. Sales amount has dropped a little bit this week on this, so we may gonna see more of a price drop or an increase on the next week on this. Sales amount drop, we may gonna see seller's price drop, buyer's price go up on that. 1522 for the sellers and 1360 for the buyers. That definitely has dropped on price. Then the last mineral is morphite. Really, wow, morphite is incredible stable. It's only the huge sales here that we had on the 4th of March. That was early this week. Okay, checking the calendar. Wait, that's the old one. I have the new one anyway. So yeah, that was this week anyway. Big sales here on morphite. Over 1 million units, that's quite a lot for here. It's only a small increase on that on price. Rest of the week pretty much staying really stable, except for here on the 7th we make a little bit drop to 9,700 on average price. But clearly we're staying pretty stable, just below the 10,000. 99.98 for the sellers and 96.57 for the buyers. It's not. It's a little bit of an increase in price at least. Then we're checking out some regular salvage from this region. Armor plates are starting to increase even more in price. Made a quite a jump up here for the last 4 days. Pretty much going up for like 2 weeks now. It's pretty healthy for armor plates. They have been dropping so much lately. Coming from like a year ago. Take a long grab for a moment. Like a year ago, the highest price here, about 83,000 per unit. So this is not even half of it. It's like 70% in a year time. Armor plates drop for like pretty much 75% or even more than 75% on price, like 80% on price. So that's quite low. It's sitting, and we've definitely seen an increase. That's pretty healthy for armor plates. Gonna see an increase on that. Probably not at the end. There. So sales amount did went up, pushed the price also a little bit up, because I think people starting to expect price to go up. I don't blame them. Good amount of salvage, 19,884 for the sellers and 19,000 flat for the buyers. That's a pretty big increase in price suddenly. Just for the record, for the last week's price was 16,412. That was last week's price. We're jumping quite fast up on price here for armor plates. Burn logic circuits only starting to increase for the last 3 days. We saw a small increase here, but for the last 2 days we're really seeing an increase here in price. Not seeing on the sales amount, but we're seeing definitely a higher price here after quite being stable for like 2 weeks. It's pretty much around the 52,000. Yeah, 52, 53,000. We see now definitely the increase heading for 54,500 on the price here. So a little bit suddenly increase, became a little bit higher. Highest price was probably here this year at 73. But yeah, we're seeing definitely an increase here in price. That's not sure what the reason is. That was close enough for 557,489 on the sellers for that, and 54,000 on the buyers. That's only a small increase, not too much on the buyer side. So probably there's a lot of sold on the seller side, which is currently pushing the price up. Fried interface circuits is not really doing anything. We're seeing high prices here. 6,400 was last week. Pretty much the whole week sitting pretty stable at 5,000. 6,750 on average price. Slightly higher today to 6,000 plus on that price, but not too much. It's maybe gonna be a short jump up like we had here about a week, 1.5 week ago, and then dropping back down. So thinking this is just a small jump up on that. Sales amount pretty normal, not really anything weird to see there. Not too many buys. This might indicate we're gonna see soon a drop in price on here. 6,795 for the sellers and 6,000 flat on the buyers. That is a 250 increase on the buyer side. It's a quite 152,000 is a big order. Quite a big order for that. Well, the capacitor consoles, huge sales yesterday. No effect on the price. Not at all. It's really stable for the whole week, sitting at 30,100. See only a small increase to 32 yesterday. Back to 31 today on average, but really low sales amount at the moment. Yeah, really nothing to say. It's stable. Not going really anywhere. Stuck on around the 30,000 price. 33,988 for the sellers and 31,000 flat on the buyers. It's a 1,000 increase on that. Again here a big order came in. Trip power circuits has made a drop this week on price. I think this is an all-time low now. No, it's not. Not in a year. Oh, that's the wrong screen moving. Whoops. Hold on. Let me put it back on place. Get the right bar. So yeah, it's making a drop suddenly this week. It was back to 13,000, between 10, 13, 20, and slowly crawling back up. So it looks like we're seeing a small dip like we've seen here, usually before, a small dip down, and crawling a little bit back up on price. And then we make another drop. It's already dropped quite a lot, but I have a feeling this one is gonna drop more in price than just this one. I think we even may gonna go more towards lower price here, towards 10,000, but it's gonna take some time because it's dropping quite slow. 14,734 for the sellers, quite a decent amount of units coming in here on the market, and again here a big order up at 14,000. Someone is really wanting to get up more. That's quite a big drop by the way on price. 15,300 was last week's price, so all that. Then Plex looks to be quite healthy with the new changes. Plex is definitely starting to go up. I really like to see that. 1,060,000,000 currently for the Plex today. Yesterday we also went up. Pretty much the whole week we have been going up on price for Plex. Not too quickly, but we're definitely seeing an increase on here. Was quite stable between the 7 and the 8. It had a small drop, and after that went straight back up. Don't know when the patch notes came out, if it was today or yesterday. I think today. This may have influence on it because of the changes. So it's also, oh yeah, the changes to warp bubbles may can cause it, because warp bubbles will not stay forever up. So Plex going up, but it's quite healthy on that. A lot of Plex is coming in too here, all less than a day. Oh, most of them are less than an hour old even here on Plexes. Most of them. This is like 2.5 hours old. These are all less than an hour old. Most of them coming in at 1,085,000,000 currently on the seller side, all next door. And on the buy sitting at 1,056,000,000 on that. It's definitely an increase on that side on price. And I go starting above with drone parts. Let's see if this is still interesting. It's well, the drone capillary fluids really stable, sitting pretty much at a flat line. You've seen the only difference between buyers and sellers on this. There's not any movement. We've seen big sales here by the way on the 6th of March, but had really no effect on the price. So pretty much really stable here. For the sellers, we're sitting at there's a few units coming in next door in ASAP at 19,870 on the price. Currently here in the station you still pay 98,989 on the price here. And for the buyers coming in also next door at 83,300 per unit on there. Drone cerebral fragment went down quite a lot for a long time. I'm seeing a little bit longer days, so went down for quite a few weeks, making drop stable. Looks like we're gonna do the same thing here. We made quite of a drop here, quite stable for the whole week. This May on the next week gonna see another drop, because has been doing this for quite a long time after the price went up here. I'm expecting this one to somewhere on the next week start make another drop on price. 45,300 for the sellers and 219,106 on the buyers. There's only 16 units. Then we're gonna make quite soon another drop down here. Drone coronary unit. Also this one is still on the drop after these huge spikes we had here. Quite late spikes on these. Make it up, but it looks to be quite stable for pretty much the last 4 days. Or 5-6 days, pretty much the whole week. Seeing buyers and sellers different in that on the price, but that's about it on there. So not a huge amount on this. In around the 4 million. Sales amount, quantity is pretty normal, so quite stable. Looks to be pretty stabilizing around the 4 million per unit. 4.2 million pretty much for the sellers and 3.7 million for the buyers. The drone shielding chunk went slightly down here. Beginning of the week dropped down to about 41,000 per unit. Made quite a big increase by the way yesterday, back to a 90,000 on average. You can see today we're only dropping back to about 51,000 per unit. Not something just sold on my side. So 51,300 on that side on the price. A little bit of movement in here, but on average I think this one is gonna drop more in price. It's already has gone down. This is pretty much the highest price it got. Highest price was here at about doing 50,000 on there, but still I think it's high. I think this one may get more towards the 40,000 on that. What you see, there's not too many buys, so I expect the price to go down quite soon. Currently on the seller side 87,999 on the sellers, that's here on the market. On the buys we're sitting at 15,000. That's quite low. That's a huge gap between sellers and buyers. One of those two needs to fill up in this gap. There's a good margin in it, but the quantity is being sold per day. About 2,000 to 4,000 units per day is being sold. Not too bad, but the margin is quite big between those two. But I think the sellers will catch up with the buyers. See one drone snapback relay wiring. Was quite stable for a while, but we're suddenly making quite a big movements here for the last 5 days. Suddenly dropping down to about 4,316 on average, with the highest 9,800 on this week's price. So quite a lot of movement here suddenly. On average we can clearly see we're starting to drop here in price. Let's see, highest price was around the 30,000. Still 10,000 was not a bad price for this, but we're now slowly dropping back to 5,000. A really low price. But there's one coming a lot to the market, or just not being sold at all. But we're definitely seeing some bigger movements in here for this. Definitely a drop. It's gonna do next week. I think it's gonna sit more around the 5,000. on that. For the sellers, we're sitting at 7,006 units. Decent amount, you go away to 8,000 per unit for that. On the buys, we're sitting at 6,000 currently. On tactical limp, this is quite stable. Well, it's not really stable. It's still dropping in price, but it's starting to slow down on the drop. Still sitting at 16,000 on average price, 16, almost 17,000 even. Hit 30,000 here, by the way. You can see, by the way, this graph is quite big, because here we're still sitting at 370,000 per unit. It's quite high, and we've dropped so much in like this 65 days on price. I think it's more like 50 days even. Quite rapidly dropping in price here. Currently on the seller side we're sitting at next door at 26,000 per unit, but here in the States we're sitting 29,800 per unit. Buyers quite low, quite a good margin again here at 10,520. One of these two should catch up, and I think also here should be the sellers. Elite Drone AI also slowly dropping over the whole week. Seeing only jump up here on the 7 to 6.3 million, but sitting pretty much at 5.8 to 5.78 on the prices here, making a drop. I think this is gonna keep on going also on the next week on the price drops. 6 million, oh, not the fuel is going to be really interesting what the fuel is doing. Staying quite high after the huge spike up we had last week already. We did make a drop during the week to 23,500 on average to 24, almost 25,000, but we're pretty much back up at the same price again on average. We are a little bit lower, sitting pretty much at 26,000 on average price currently, so still increasing here in price for, well, not increasing, quite high on price here. This may indicate we're gonna have a new price for fuel blocks. Maybe, maybe not, we'll see. But we are slightly lower than at least last week on that. 25,919 or 920 currently for the sellers, and the buyers are at 22,042. Hydro fuel blocks, these ones are making quite of a big drop on price, but they went also really high on price last week. Pretty much sitting here for 3 days with a drop in between there. And cooling is going crazy. Making quite of a drop back down already to 24, pretty much just below the 25,000 per unit. It's not really clear what this is gonna do, but I think we're gonna get a new higher price for fuel on that, unless new supplies are gonna come to the market on the next week and start filling up the market, and then we see more of a price drop on there. 24,894 for the sellers, 23,601 on the buyers. Nitrogen fuel made only a 4-day jump high price that we had. After that it came straight away back down to 29,000, sitting now at 28. Still sitting quite high for nitrogen fuel on this. Surprisingly high, really. I expect this one to sit a little bit more lower, but it didn't. Then again, it was already higher than most of the fuel at 24,000 for pretty while, so I can expect this one to stay higher than the rest. So it's saying like it was already like 4,000 higher than the other two fuels we looked at, and this one is staying now so even 4,000 higher than the other fuels at 28,000. So yeah, it looks like this is gonna be pretty much for a while for the new price around the 28,000 on the fuel here. Can go both ways, it can be more supplies. There's already pretty decent supplies coming in towards the market on this, but it's getting all put on the market. Got here 220,000 units coming in towards it, but saying 28,348 on the sellers and 24,553 on the buyers. Oxygen fuel, not too much on the market yet, so we are sitting still really high on price here. We already had sitting already high at 24,000, pretty much same as the nitrogen fuel, and making also here the jump up to 27,000, slightly lower than nitrogen. Did make a quite of a drop here during the week. Basically there were almost no sales here. Pushed the price quite a lot down towards 23,800. Let's see straight away next day back to the 27,000 pretty much. Sales amount is still pretty normal, starting to pick up even, so prices are probably gonna stay a little bit higher. 26,961 on the sellers and 23,850 on the buyers. So looking at which one is going to be the cheapest on the seller side, it's gonna be hydrogen fuel is currently the cheapest on the seller side if you need quick fuel straight from the market. On the buyer side we are the cheapest on the helium fuel blocks. The helium fuel blocks, if you have time to get fuel in, buyers is helium the cheapest. If you need fuel quickly, hydrogen is the cheapest on that. Oh, we'll click. Then PI broadcast notes. Okay, I got a driver update. There was something. Hey, wait, something popping up. Nvidia drivers. Broadcast notes very slowly still dropping in price. We see all the now and then spikes up on sales. Every 2 to 3 days we're seeing a spike on sales amount. That is still keeping pressure on the price and making it drop even more. We're seeing even here dropping below the 2 million here for 1 day on the 8th. Pretty much sure we're gonna see more below the 2 million on the next week here. It's about 2.2 million currently for the sellers. On the buyers they already dropped below the 2 million. 1,980,000 on that, so we already dropped here below that price. Integrated response drones staying quite stable on the price between buyers and sellers. About 2.5 million and 2.8 million buyers sellers difference. Staying pretty stable. Sales amount not really any difference on that. So quite stable. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it's gonna stay also here on the whole week. So it's staying already pretty much for this price for. You can see that quickly. For around 3 weeks now. Staying pretty stable around the same price between buyers and sellers. There's not really too much movement in here. 2.8 million for the sellers, 2.5 million on the buyers. Nano factory still dropping. Don't like it, don't like it. Did make a small up in the price during this week, but it's not too much. 1.14 up to about 1.15, so it's only 10,000 basically increase in that. Still buyers sellers difference here, quite stable on price. Had a little bit sales yesterday. This probably pushing the price down for today on average, just above 1 million on there. On that, I think this may even start still making the drop next week. Gonna see price below the million. About 1.2 million on the sellers, on the buyers is around 1 million. Organic motor applicators, also these still making a drop in price. We came to about 1 million here on the 3rd. I think that was last week's video if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that was last week, 3rd. Pushed the price quite a lot down to 1 million, but came back up next day to about 1.2 million, 1.16 be exact. Making more of a drop. Yeah, it's slowly dropping still, so amazing during the weekend another drop below the even below the million. but that's not quite sure if that's gonna happen. But at least still dropping here in price. This means also citadels, engineering complexes can drop in price. 1.1 million on the sellers. On the buyers we already dropped below the million. 991,000 on there. Cursor computing modules, also these still on the drop in price. Seems to be slowing down slightly. Also the margin seems to be quite small at the moment, about 100,000. 1.6 for the sellers, 1.5 for the buyers. Looks like it. It's definitely a little bit looks like to slow down on price. We made a quite drop here quickly. Now starting to slow down again, but I think it's still keeps on dropping in price, only at a slower rate. A little bit faster than the line we had here. Well, maybe gonna catch up the same line even on that. But also this one expecting more to start dropping in price. 1.6 million on the sellers, only 1.5 million for the buyers, and there's not too many orders up here. So quite a lot of pressure on the seller side to drop the price. Harmonizing power cores. Quite aggressive movements here this week. Dropping at low is about 1.9 million, at highest at 2.5 million. It's a big difference between sellers and buyers. Not sure where this is gonna go on the next week. But quite a rapid movements in here. That don't expect that. Honestly, really interesting what this is gonna do next week. It seems to be 20-day average is starting to push up a bit. 5-day also went up this week, but already making a drop. To be honest, what I'm gonna expect, I'm more expecting this one to start dropping a bit on price the next week. I think if this one's gonna drop more towards the 2 million or maybe even below it. 2.1 million currently for the sellers. On the buys we're already below the 2 million, 1.9 million on there. Sterile conducts, also this one is still dropping in price. Making quite of a drop today even. Dropping around 1.2 million. That's quite of a low price. It's not an all year low I think yet. Well, 1.3. It's definitely an all year low on the sterile conducts. So see here 1.3 million. That's a 1.6 even. 0.3. So yeah, today's average price is a 1 year low at the moment. Okay, okay, my market bugged out just now. Okay, hold on, let me close this one and restart it. There we go, fixed. Yeah, we're at a one year low basically on the price, here on average price at least, for sterile conducts. So keep an eye on it. I think this one even may gonna drop more, because basically all PI is dropping. 1.4 million for the sellers, 1.2 million for the buyers. Some new orders coming in. These are really 2-3 units. You can drop even more towards here to still 1.2 million. But it is a 1 year low really for sterile conducts. Transcanal microcontrollers. Buyer sells difference here. We see a little bit of movement on there. But it's not too huge. Looks like it's trying to come down again on price. On here. After the spike. Huge amount of sales here pushing the price up. People think 75,000 is a good price. I say it's a decent price. Can go lower, but it was not a bad buy, at least for people here. Buying it up, pushing the price back up, and now quite stable between 67,000 and 86,000. 86,000 for the sellers and 67,000 for the buyers. Not sure where it's gonna go next week. Redware mainframe probably still dropping. Yeah, it's definitely dropping. 2.3 on that. Maybe looking a 1 year low here too. Not yet 2.1, but we are not too far off it. On that, so really keep an eye on this. This is very close to a 1 year low. Lowest 2.1 million. Sitting currently at 2.2. We're already seeing a small increase here at 2.4. Really keep a good eye on this, because we are quite low and may see soon that the price starting to increase here. Because it is a really low to a 1 year low. Still for the sellers, we're sitting around 2.5 million on that. 2.2 million for the buyers currently. So I'll say a quite small amount of orders. It could maybe get for 2,150,000 on this. But this is still 291 units, so yeah. But we are quite low on price here for that. Tech 1 ships still have only one in. I still haven't put it in the bar above. I still need to fix that bar, by the way. Haven't had time for it. I haven't too much fun. I'm gonna have no time on the next week. Not with this game deadline. Looking at me, play me. Cargo coming quite low in next door at 9.5 million. There, looks like the graph first. Prices are still sitting around the 10 million. Good price for that. Jumping around between buyers and sellers on that price. We always saw buyers or sellers sitting around 10.5 million on that. So yeah, quite high. Not expecting this. It's, you see already the 5-day is wanted to go down again. So it looks like Cargo is gonna drop in price pretty soon. There's four coming next door at 9.5 million. I got 10.5 million here in the station on the sellers. On the buyers, and about 8.7 million on that. So that was this week's look at the amarr market. I don't think I've missed anything. We're not doing anything of that. Oh, what we can look at quickly. It's maybe interesting because I looked at Jita and those prices are starting to go up. Let's go structures deployable. And there is not a single one here on the market of this. It's the syndicate, mobile warp disruptors. They are jumping up in price, at least in Jita, that I noticed, but there is not a single one here on the market. Let's see if I can quickly find these. Yeah, there's not a single one on the market here. Nothing at all. So yeah, but these, let's look quickly at these, see what these are doing, because they are, if you now deploy these, they are gonna be fine forever. The only changes here that's gonna be made, or they gonna not last forever. I think I don't have the patch notes up anymore, if I'm mistaken. No, I don't. But I think the Tech 1 version is gonna last for a week. Or only a few days, I'm not sure anymore. And the Tech 2 one's is gonna last, I think the Tech 2 one's gonna last for a week. Tech 1's only for a few days, and the faction one's for 2 weeks on the bubbles. So bubbles, after a certain time, will just explode. And they will disappear. They're always gonna get less hit points and also generate kill mills. On that, just want to know, syndicate bubbles are not even available here on the market at all. What I can look at quickly is some mining drones. Especially of course the faction one. These are just still dropping in price here. The augmented and the excavator mining drones also still dropping in price. this one's making a rapid drops in price. Also here we're seeing a drop in price. Okay. Quick look, maybe interesting to see if you want to see prices. Quite expensive for these drones, of course. So if you want to have a better look, just pause the video for a short moment. But this was this week's look at the amarr market. Last time in 1080, probably in 1080. I don't know how the recording is gonna be in 4K next week. I don't know if my CPU canal is still running the AMD 8350, because the new AMD processors have some issues with gaming at 1080. The FPS is even a little bit lower than the i7s. So it's still, because it's a complete new architecture, all the AMD processors gonna need time to get everything working there fine on the BIOS and stuff. Currently, those processors are beating their, they're really good at streaming and processing videos, so they're really good at that. At least thanks for watching. I'll see you all next week again, and probably a lot higher quality. Fly safe.